Time now for Eyewitness News Call 12 for Action. The federal government is suing popular online dating site Match.com.
Eyewitness News consumer reporter Susan Campbell joins us now with the details.
The Federal Trade Commission says Match misled consumers for years and left them vulnerable to scams. The company says the claims are outrageous. He just emailed you, could you be the one? The Federal Trade Commission says messages like this tricked hundreds of thousands of consumers into purchasing subscriptions to Match.com. And the agency claims Match knew many of these accounts likely belonged to scammers and even blocked those accounts from messaging paying subscribers. But the FTC says people who had free memberships were left exposed to the fake accounts.
Very concerning, but not surprising.
Chris Lefebvre is an attorney who specializes in consumer protection issues.
If you're getting multiple invitations from Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, that's probably a warning sign that they're a fraudster looking to scam you or dupe you.
The lawsuit also claims Match made it difficult for consumers to cancel their memberships. Match.com called the FTC's allegations completely meritless, and in a statement said fraud isn't good for business. That's why we fight it, adding we catch and neutralize 85% of potentially improper accounts in the first 4 hours and 96% of improper accounts within a day. According to the Federal Trade Commission, in 2018, there were more than 21,000 reports of romance scams that cost people $143 million. To protect yourself, the FTC says you should do a reverse image search on profile pictures to make sure those photos aren't of someone else. Talk to someone you trust about your new love interest and pay attention to the concerns they may have, and never send money to anyone you haven't met in person. If you have a consumer problem you need help solving, contact our Call 12 for Action Center Monday through Thursday from 11 until 1. Our hotline is 228-1850. I'm Susan Campbell, Eyewitness News.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good day to everyone. This is Grizzly Rising, and I am reporting from behind enemy lines. Today, this article comes courtesy of the Federal Trade Commission, and the title of the article is FTC Sues owner of online dating service Match.com for using fake love interest to trick consumers into paying for a Match.com subscription. So let's get right into it. The Federal Trade Commission sued online dating service Match.com Inc. Match, the owner of Match.com, Tindr, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, or as I like to call it, Plenty of Bust Downs, and other dating sites, alleging that the company used fake love interest advertisements to trick hundreds of thousands of consumers into purchasing paid subscriptions on Match.com. So they're scamming people. The agency also alleges that Match has unfairly exposed consumers, I should say, to the risks of fraud and engaging in other allegedly deceptive and unfair practices. For instance, the FTC alleges Match offered false promises or guarantees, failed to provide services to consumers who successfully disputed charges, and made it difficult for users to cancel their subscriptions. Quote, "We believe that Match.com conned people into paying for subscriptions via messages the company knew were from scammers," said Andrew Smith, director of the SEC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Quote, "Online dating services obviously shouldn't be using romance scammers as a way to fatten their bottom lines." You mean romance scammers like dinner whores, fake dates, people from Nigeria making false profiles, and other sorts of crimes. Match touts fake love interest advertisements often from scammers. Match allows users to create Match.com profiles free of charge, but prohibits users from responding to messages without upgrading to a paid subscription. According to the FTC's complaint, Match sent emails to non-subscribers stating that if someone had expressed a interest in that consumer, Specifically, when non-subscribers with free accounts received likes, favorites, emails, and instant messages on Match.com, they also received email ads from Match encouraging them to subscribe to Match.com to view the identity of the sender and the content of the communication. Match.com, he just emailed you. You caught his eye and now he's expressed interest in you. Could he be the one? Read this email or read his email. You will be notified when other Match.com members express interest in you. Please note, this email may contain advertisements. Match.com, P.O. Box 25472, Dallas, Texas 75225. Well, you notice in that little tidbit there, they said he expressed interest in you, so hashtag gynocentrism. And I kind of have a feeling this lawsuit's more spurned by women getting quote-unquote burnt by men than men getting burnt by women, though more men get burnt by women than the other way around. The FTC alleges that millions of contacts that generated matches you caught as iNotice came from accounts the company had already flagged as likely to be fraudulent. By contrast, Match prevented existing subscribers from receiving email communications from a suspected fraudulent account. Many consumers purchase subscriptions because of these deceptive ads, hoping to be a real user who might be the one. You know what? There's no such thing as the one. Let me tell you right now, guys. A woman's never yours. It's just your turn with her. The FTC alleges that instead, these consumers often would have found a scammer on the other end. According to the FTC's complaint, consumers came into contact with the scammer if they subscribed before Match completed its fraud review process. If Match completed its review process and deleted the account as fraudulent before the consumer subscribed, the consumer received a notification that the profile was unavailable. In either event, the consumer was left with a paid subscription to Match.com as a result of a false advertisement. So they're roping these guys in. Let's face it, it's mostly these guys that are probably getting scammed. And then they slap them with a subscription before they've completed their fraud review process. So they're scamming these guys, and let's face facts, folks. These scams are mostly being perpetrated on men. But of course, in the article which I just read, they made it sound like it was men portraying scams against women. And I'm sure that happens, but in reality, it happens a lot more so-called women scamming men. I mean, catfishing, and I'll get into that in a bit, catfishing, dinner whores, and women just outright scamming men for money. Consumers who consider purchasing a Match.com subscription generally were unaware that as many as 25 to 30% of Match.com members who register each day are using Match.com to attempt to perpetrate scams, including romance scams, phishing scams, and that's phishing, P-H-I-S-H-I-N-D schemes, fraudulent advertising and extortion schemes. In some months between 2013 and 2016, more than half of the instant messages and favorites that consumers received came from accounts that Match had identified as fraudulent, according to the complaint. So quite a bit of these ads and these I guess we used to call them personals back in the day, are scams. They're trying to get money, usually from men. They're scamming men, and it goes deeper than that. And like I said, I'll get to that in a bit. Hundreds of thousands of consumers subscribed to Match.com shortly after receiving communications from fake profiles. According to the FTC's complaint from June 2016 to May 2018, for example, Match's own analysis found that consumers purchased 400,099 and 691 subscriptions within 24 hours of receiving an advertisement touting a fraudulent communication. Online dating services, including Match.com, often are used to find and contact potential romance scam victims. Fraudsters create false profiles, establish trusting relationships, and tricking consumers into giving or loaning them money. Hashtag gynocentrism. Just last year, romance scams ranked number 1 on the FTC's list of total reported losses to fraud. The Commission's Consumer Sentinel complaint database received more than 21,000 reports about romance scams, and people reported losing a total of $143 million in 2018. Match deceives consumers with conspicuous, hard-to-understand disclosures. Okay, let's break that down for a minute. Hard-to-understand disclosures. Basically, it's word salad. It's a jabberwocky of bureaucratic bullshit. Chutes and ladders, traps, and basic obstacles that made it virtually impossible for someone to cancel their paid subscription or get the free 6 months of data if they didn't find a match. So basically, they pinwhip the motherfuckers. The FTC also alleges Match deceptively induced consumers to subscribe to Match.com by promising them, and there we go, promising them a 3-month subscription if they not meet someone special. Well, hell, you know what? Most women are special. Put a helmet on them and give them some fucking crayons. Alright, let's continue on here. Without adequately disclosing that the consumers met numerous requirements before the company would honor the guarantee. So they met these numerous requirements which were often impossible to meet. And like I said, they pinwhipped these people. They pinwhipped them into purchasing subscriptions, and then when they asked for their free 6-month subscription, they made it so complicated and made it such a briar patch of bureaucracy that they weren't able to get their 6 months or even cancel their subscription. Specifically, the FTC alleges Match failed to disclose adequately that consumers must secure and maintain a profile with a primary photo approved by Match within the first 7 days of purchase. Match's 5 unique Match.com subscribers per month and use a progress page to redeem the free 6 months during the final week of the initial 6-month subscription period. The FTC alleges consumers often were unaware that they would need to comply with additional terms to receive the free 6 months Match promise. As a result, consumers were often billed for a 6-month subscription to Match.com at the end of the initial 6 months instead of receiving free 6 months of service they expected. Unfair billing dispute and failure to provide simple subscription cancellation practices. Due to Match's allegedly deceptive advertising, billing, and cancellation practices, consumers often disputed charges through their financial institutions. The complaint alleges that Match then banned those users from accessing the services they paid for. Finally, the FTC alleges that Match violated the Restore Online Consumers Confidence Act, ROSCA, by failing to provide a simple method for a consumer to stop recurring charges from being placed on their credit card, debit card, bank account, or financial account. Each step of the online cancellation process, from the password entry to the retention offer to the final survey page, is often confused and frustrated. Consumers ultimately prevented many consumers from canceling their Match.com subscriptions, the FTC contends. The complaint states that Match's own employees described the cancellation process as hard to find, tedious, and confusing, and noted that members often think they canceled when they did not. They have not, and ended up with unwanted renewals. The commission vote authorizing the staff to file the complaint was 4-0-1, with Chairman Joseph Simons recused. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. So Match is being greasy. They're playing dirty. So what they do is they sucker these guys in. Let's face it, most of the people getting scammed are men. There's no way to prove that, but my spidey sense tells me that they are. So they sucker these people in. They say if you don't find your special someone in 6 months, you get a free 6 month subscription. Then they pinwhip it and make it so it's virtually impossible, or you have to jump through these massive hoops. You have to do all this crap just to get the free 6 month subscription. And so most people, they're not the sharpest tools in the drawer, the sharpest knives in the drawer. So guess what? They end up getting nailed for a 6 month subscription. Then when they try to go cancel it, they make the process complicated, arduous, and tricky. So they think they've canceled it, only to find that they've had their subscription renewed against their wishes. And this goes into a deeper thing, because in my humble opinion, and I've always been leery of these dating sites, Match.com, OkCupid, eHarmony, tindr, and the other dating sites are nothing more than huge gynocentric thirst traps. The thirst is real, and there's these lonely guys, they want companionship, they don't know how to live by themselves, they don't know how to enjoy their solitude, they don't know how to have a social life either. And so they go to these quote unquote dating coaches, these select dating coaches. And I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second here and elaborate on that. You have these dating coaches, they're over 6 foot tall. They're in supreme shape. They have money. They're attractive. They're charming. And they peddle their product to guys that are desperate to find companionship, who are not over 6 foot, who are not in the best shape, and quite frankly, who lack the charm and debonair to attract women, because that's what women are attracted to. You would think they'd be attracted to the guy that's stable, has a decent job, makes good money, is reliable. No, women care about superficial shit. They don't care about the real important things. They want the guy that has that swag. And I think about swag. Swag is for, you fill in the rest. And so that's what they get into. And these dating coaches, they peddle false hope like these dating sites do to these guys and tell them you got to get in shape and you got to buy all this clothing and do this and do that and do all this, do this mountain of work for it in hopes of getting a 5 or a 6. Maybe they can upgrade to a 7 if they're really lucky. And that's how they make their money off these guys. They sell false hope. They peddle success porn. And these dating sites offer these guys, saying you're going to find the love of your life, you're going to find your soulmate. Let me break this shit down for you. There's no such thing as the love of your life, a soulmate, or any of that other bullshit. Remember what I said earlier. She's never yours. It's just your turn. And so they sucker these guys in, and most of these scammers, I would suspect to say that they're women. Romance scams, they lure these guys in to try to get money and resources out of them. I mean, just a couple months ago, the whole kerfuffle with the dinner horse thing, where most of these women just went out with guys for a free meal. They didn't go out with them because they liked them or cared about them or was interested in them. They just went out for the free meal, and then they came home and let chapstick in them, so they barfed that free meal up. But yeah, these dating sites, they've taken over as gynocentric first traps. It used to be nightclubs with the gynocentric first traps. Now you have these dating sites, you have these success porn peddlers, these dating coaches, and I'm not talking about someone like an Obsidian, because anybody listens to him, he's now the non-select dating coach. And I've actually listened to some of his stuff, and he offers very concrete and good advice to people. He offers very good advice to people, and it's concrete, and it's, makes sense, and it's good. Whereas these guys, they offer false hope, just like these dating sites. And I got to tell you something. I'm going to get a little, talk personally about this. I have a friend of mine, and my friend is Chad. He's fucking Chad Thundercock. He's tall. He's ripped. He's in great shape. He lifts weights every day. Eats super healthy. And he's charming. And he can go on a dating site like Tindr. He can go on one of these dating sites and he could pull ass left and right because he's sociable. Like I said, he's charming. He knows how to dance. He has a social life and all this other stuff. And he could do it, but some average dude, they're not going to have that kind of luck. And so these people, and also let's get into the phishing. Phishing is you get on one of these dating sites, you register, and then what these people are able to do is they're able to go through your profile. They're able to look at your IP information, your internet information, and get into your computer and fish for information. So they can sell it to advertisers, or they can scam you or blackmail you or do whatever. These romance scams, these women getting these scams, oh baby, 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 can you help me out? I got to pay my cell phone bill. I got to pay my rent. And these blue pill guys, man, they just lap it up like mother's milk, and then they get suckered. And then when the woman's done suckering them, they leave them high and dry. So the FTC finally has had enough of this crap, and they're suing Match.inc or whatever it is. But you notice Match.inc just doesn't do Match.com. Tindr, Plenty of Fish, or, as I like to call it, Plenty of Busted Down Hoes, and other dating sites. And I hate to say it, if you guys want to date and you want to hook up, you're going to have to get out there into the world. You just can't sit in the basement, not shower for a fucking week, and play Call of Duty all fucking day. You got to get out there. You got to present yourself. In the dating world, when you're going out to meet someone, in essence, your first impression is your biggest impression. And also, you have to look at it as you're marketing yourself. Are you going to market yourself as some fucking slob that sits on his ass, dresses like a fucking homeless person, looks like a member of the Manson family, and smells like 2 weeks of unwashed ass. That doesn't work for the average guy. You know what that works for? That works for Chad, Tyrone. That works for fucking, you know, Brad, the fucking rock and roll stink fuck asshole that smells like 3 weeks of unwashed ass. But it doesn't work for you. You know, if you want to get something done, if anything in life you want to get done, you got to get out there. If you want to be a policeman, you got to go to police academy. You got to take criminal justice classes. You got to be in shape. You got to get out there and do the work. If you want to be a mechanic, you got to go learn how to be a mechanic. You got to get out in the world. You just can't sit there and think about it and look at the computer and expect things to happen. And hey, if you're kind of like me, a bit of an introvert, you really don't want to get out there, you're really not interested, that's fine. But then don't go bitch and complain that you can't find anybody. Look, you know, the first place to start is look in the fucking mirror and get off these goddamn dating sites. They offer false hope, they take your money. And also, what wasn't mentioned in that lawsuit was the fact that a lot of these women on these dating sites, they catfish the fuck out of men. They'll post a picture when they're young, or they'll post it in such a way where it doesn't show they're disgusting fat, and then you get out and meet them in their Jabba the fucking Hut. Or they just, you know, take you out, you take them out, you show them a good time, and then they never get back to you because they were just using that free dinner thing, going home and letting Chad and Tyrone ground and pound and ram and slam them. But yeah, beware of these dating sites. They're a total scam. Once again, they're the gynocentric thirst traps of the 21st century. As nightclubs are dying, which I'm eternally grateful for, these are replacing them. So I've rambled on long enough. Probably not my best video, but I've been a little rusty at doing these. Any constructive criticism, comments, rate, subscribe. I'm also on BitChute. I also have other channels. That's it for now. This is Grizzly Rising. I'm reporting from behind enemy lines. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.